A term that never existed before, but it's becoming evidently more popular, is something called the South African diaspora, where South Africans are now overseas, settled either long term or for the short term, but they're part of the South African specifically, diaspora, where they are supporting family back home. They plan to come back home. And we find a lot of those South Africans, you guys are over in Australia, New Zealand, UK, you settled there, you've given up your South African passports, and that's okay. You have a right to live wherever you want to live. But many South Africans, myself included, I was an expat at one time, part of the South African diaspora, where I went overseas when I couldn't get work to earn an income. I didn't have to support a family, which was nice. I was young and could do whatever I want with my money. But I wish I could have done more in my younger years, where I would be sitting a lot prettier than I would be right now. So here's my experience on what I would redo as a South African expat if I were overseas. The first thing I would do is I would get life cover sooner and do it while I was in the Middle East. So I got life cover towards the mid part of my journey. I left South Africa when I was very young. I was 20. But I didn't have life cover. And yeah, touch wood, nothing happened. But I would have gotten it sooner. Now, previously, during the old systems, you had to be here in the country to get your medical underwriting done, to get comprehensive, world-class life cover in South Africa, right? It's not the case now, right? If you are somebody who's worried and you're sitting somewhere in Ireland, somewhere in Korea, a lot of you in China, okay, and thinking, well, as soon as I get back, I'm going to sort this life cover thing out. You don't have to wait. We can do it for you right now. So click the link where you're watching that video and we can give you cover. So when you have life cover and risk cover, you know that South African companies cover most countries in the world. We don't cover war-torn countries, certain parts of West Africa, certain parts of the Middle East, Central Asia are not covered for obvious reasons. But if you are in a first world country, Korea, China, you have full coverage. Right, so reach out and we can get your life cover in place. A lot of the times when we are expats, we go for 2, 3, maybe 10 years, but we are supporting family back home. And with you being the breadwinner, with so many people depending on you, you need to ensure that you have life cover in place and affordable life cover. And top tier life cover in South Africa is very, very affordable. The next thing I would do if I was a younger South African expat is I would start retirement planning sooner. I wish I knew what I knew now about South African money when I was in my 20s, but it is what it is. But if I knew, I would start planning for retirement a lot sooner. And when I say planning for retirement, I don't just mean get a retirement annuity. Okay, there's so many vehicles, so many strategies that you can deploy when it comes to your retirement planning. Remember, if you are an expat watching this, when you do eventually return, your salary is not going to be that high. So you got to use your income, to live decently in South Africa. If you're supporting family, you're going to have to continue supporting family, but you want to leverage that extra. And because you went overseas for that extra money, and that difference, you got to put to work for you, and you got to invest that money. Put savings away. And luckily, I have a lot of you all over, US, Ireland, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, China, Korea. I've got clients all over there. And I'm glad you guys are reaching out because we're really putting your money to work. We're leveraging the dollar and we're leveraging the weak rand, because when the rand is weak, you got more dollars to play with in South Africa. If you're earning an income in South Africa, you got rental property, a business, you're still a taxpayer, and a typical retirement annuity would allow you to get some rebates and reduce your taxable income as well. So retirement planning is something I would definitely prioritize as an expat. Then it would be investments. I would not have traveled as much as I traveled. I would put a good chunk of my salary into investing earlier, especially in my 20s. I would have invested for longer into more aggressive solutions in South Africa. So you guys have no excuse. Okay, I was very young when I went overseas. There weren't videos like this. There weren't any South African content creators in the finance space. If you're somebody in your younger years, 20 some odd, and you're watching this video, I highly encourage you, as an expat, highly encourage you start investing, even if it's a 2,000-3,000 rand extra from your overseas income. Start investing. So when you come back, you are ahead. You are well ahead. You don't have to stress when you come back to South Africa. So those are my tips for the South African diaspora. Reach out if you need any investment advice. Remember, it's a global world. You don't have to sit in front of an advisor anymore. We are consulting on Zoom. We are a boutique financial advisory practice. And if you need help with your investments, with your retirement, with your risk, life cover, disability, and insurance planning, click the link where you're watching this video and we can chat. And if you're somewhere crazy where your times don't fit in with my calendar, just drop me an email and we'll work around that.